Thanks for staying with us. So, according to the reports, no fewer than 5 persons have been reportedly killed. Several others injured during an operation by the anti-narcotics officers of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in the Partey area of Lagos Island. Joining us on the show now to speak about this is the spokesman for the NDLEA himself, Mr. Femi Babafemi. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thanks for having me on your show this morning.
Yes. So the last operation by the NDLEA has been widely criticized because there was quite a bit of shooting on Lagos Island. 5 persons confirmed killed, quite a few injured. And many have said, what exactly is the mode of operation? How do you go into a community that have citizens, innocent people there, and you're shooting? Your men were seen carrying AK-47s, shooting sporadically into the air. Could you give us an idea what happened exactly?
Now, let me start this way. Anybody familiar with Lagos Island would know Partey area as a notorious drug hub in Lagos. We have Partey and Akala and Mushi as 2 major drug hubs in Lagos State. 2 major drug hubs where drugs are supplied and distributed to other parts of the state and even other parts of the country. Now with over 33% drug prevalence in Lagos, which is the highest in the country, I don't think any government will want to fold its hands and allow that to go on unchecked. And that's why you would have seen the agency carried out raids in Akala, in Mushin, twice in the last few months, twice or about 3 times. Then again, Partey, we had sufficient information about the availability of some of the kingpins, drug lords running the drug cartel in that particular area, in that particular drug hub, and we mobilized men to go there, evacuate the drug, as well as take out of circulation, that is, arrest the drug lords. At least we have about 3 of them marked for arrest that Saturday. While the operation was going on, at least one of the drug kingpins was arrested with a substantial number of drugs already evacuated, when the others who knew that the arrest was coming to them mobilized. They mobilized the hoodlums who were armed with guns, bottles, stones, and machetes. And suddenly they began to attack the operatives from different directions. In that situation, the normal thing for the officers to do is to engage them with a view to at least go out of that location unhurt. And that was exactly what happened. What our men simply did in that place, they won't shoot or fire if they were not shot at. They had to respond to defend themselves, to be able to go out of that place so that the situation would not escalate.
Right.
And we do know that from reports from the reports we received that day, as at the time our men left the place, because they pursued our men up to, 2 kilometers away from that place, up to Sura Market.
Wow.
Almost 2 kilometers away from the scene of the incident, with guns, with everything. And in fact, at that point, men of the Lion Building Area Command of the Nigerian Police had to support our men to even lead them up to our office in Ikoyi.
Right.
There is nowhere, that is lawlessness at its peak, and that would not, nobody would fold his hands and allow that to go on when law enforcement officers come under attack from drug lords.
All right, let me pause you for a second. We have quite a few more questions for you. Yes, go ahead, Mariam.
Okay, so as much as I am a big fan of NDLEA and the job that it's doing, the story that came out of what the raid that happened is many people are claiming that innocent bystanders were affected, were killed. And I want to find out, isn't there, first of all, to confirm if innocent victims, innocent bystanders were killed in that raid? And secondly, knowing that there are, knowing how crowded that area is, and there are better ways to do it without, you know, getting innocent people involved?
Now, I was coming to that when you caught me short, because like I was trying to tell you that up to the point our men retreated from that place, we had no information about the death of anybody up to the time our men left that place. Don't forget, our men were trained to in that kind of a situation to defend themselves tactically in a way to avoid fatalities and also retreat. And that was exactly what happened. On the other hand, you have miscreants and hoodlums who are not trained on how to handle arms, shooting anyhow, shooting sporadically as well. So that situation, you would expect, if at all death was recorded, definitely is most likely to come from the bullets from the miscreants who were mobilized by the drug kingpins. I'll tell you for truth that up to the time our men left that place, there was no body, there was no confirmed death in that place.
But we saw your men shooting,
if at all
though.
anything happened.
Sir, we saw your men shooting.
You said what?
We saw your men shooting. They were cocking their gun.
That's
and
what I'm saying.
Air.
I'm not denying that our men didn't shoot, fire shots. What I'm saying is this. The shots fired by our men were for them to be able to leave that area unhurt. Okay. Because would you have preferred that we have about 40 men go for an operation and they all folded their hands and allow miscreants sponsored by drug lords to kill all of them?
No.
Coming barely how many days after our men were killed, in another part of the country in a similar situation. I think we all have to agree, if we want to fight the war against drug in Nigeria and succeed with it, or we give the space for drug lords to have their way. And that would be true. And in this case, our men acted professionally.
Okay.
Because if they had stayed back to engage the hoodlums, the situation would have escalated.
Right.
And don't also forget that when you see these things, we can't give the space to anybody who comes out to engage law enforcement officers doing their work. Must also be ready to face their consequences. You must be prepared for collateral damage.
All right.
And in the evening of that day, we had again information that the two of the drug lords that were marked for arrest that day, they were all around the area distributing money, compensating the hoodlums for a job well done. How does that happen in a society governed by law and order?
Okay.
We all have to come to the table, to the point, to the same page, whether indeed we're ready for this war or not. But in this case, we have...
Go ahead.
Okay, sir. So I want to know if there's an investigation ongoing to understand the number of people who died when it comes to the victims. So are you making inquiries to be sure that the people who were shot were not victims? And if you find out that innocent bystanders have been shot, what are the plans to compensate or do something? That's one. Secondly, I know this will be a long shot, but is there any plan in place to ensure that some of the bullets your officials go out with are not live ammunition, those sort of bullets that can hit you down and you are able to get the people into your trucks without necessarily killing them? Is there any plan like that so that when tomorrow innocent victims are shot, we know that it's strictly the hoodlums or the kidnappers or the...
What if the drug dealers have real ammunition? So yeah, using rubber bullet.
No, when you hit them, no, listen, when you hit them and you hit them down, they are demobilized. Yeah, demobilized, and then you can move away with them.
All right,
so that we understand that any other person who dies as a result of this sort of altercation, it's not from you. Okay.
Let me repeat again. Up to yesterday, because I know the chairman of the agency has been on this matter and has been asking questions, making inquiries.
Okay.
Up till yesterday, the feedback we got from our men on ground was that as at the time they left, they retreated from the scene. There was no death from them, no death of anybody. And I insist on what they say. Because, you see, when you are engaging criminals, these people are pure criminals. When you are engaging criminals, you said, well, we should go with rubber bullets. I'll tell you that it will be a different story. If you have to go maybe with tear gas or some rubber bullets to engage criminals that are armed to kill you, their target is to kill you. And how would you escape? I mean, how would you explain a situation where our men had gone to that place and 15, 20, 30 of them were killed by bullets from criminals? I mean, would that be something good for the country, for the image of the country, or for the war against drug in our society?
No.
You would have just created a morale booster for the criminal gangs. And in this case, what I insist on is what the report we got on ground, I mean, from our men on ground, that at the time, I mean, you would have listened to one of the videos which we have in our possession with the leaders of the gang in their home, calling on the men, shoot them, kill them, asking the hoodlums to kill and shoot, to shoot and kill our men. Is that what we want?
All right, let me go on a quick break.
Our hands. And what?
Let me go on a quick break.
Yes,
when we come back, we continue this conversation with you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have the spokesperson for the NDLEA, Mr. Femi, Baba Femi, with us. Dr. you wanted to ask a question for the break?
Yes, so like everybody here, we are all fans of what the NDLEA is doing. We've seen how crime, the level of crime being committed in our society can't be committed without being under the influence. So we know that if we can deal with the drugs, we will reduce the other things that happen as a result of being under the influence. However, here is I feel that how do we increase the level of information to reduce the number of people resorting to these things? Because when we try to penalize and criminalize the killing and the catching them, we also need to inform people who can end up being tools. Like the NAPTIP agency created a major campaign to reduce the number of people being trafficked, that this is the result, or when you get trafficked, this is what they do to you. Can we create that level of huge campaign using the byproduct of drugs? This is what happens to you. You go to prison, you spend a number of years in prison, you lose your life. Can we do those kind of campaigns to also, as a massive campaign, to get people into reducing usage and even making a business out of drug trafficking?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. The work of the NDLEA majorly rests on two key pillars. One, the drug supply reduction, which is to cut access and availability of drugs. That is the one most people often see, because that is where you have arrest seizures, which in the eye of the media is bad news, and in the media, bad news sells faster or better. Now, the other pillar is the drug demand reduction, where I can tell you that the NDLEA does even much more than in the area of drug supply reduction. And that is why you would have seen, and that's why we produce weekly short video clips of what we call NDLEA Weekly Review of this campaign, advocacy campaign. This thing was launched by President Buhari himself on June 26 last year, called War Against Drug Abuse, WADA. It's a campaign that is being taken across the country, and all our commands across Nigeria have keyed in, and quite a number of faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, NGOs, and civil society are already into this. But because the media will pick its own interest, so that's why you are probably not seeing much of that. But then we do create platforms to make sure that this information go out every week. And beyond that, we have also done quite a number of things in this area in the area of addressing the drug demand reduction. And one of the things was to take also this campaign to our universities where we have most of our youths. And recently, about 3 weeks ago, there was university-free, drug-free university campaign launched at the University of Abuja here. And beyond that, we have also been taking drug-free clubs, that's WADA clubs, to secondary schools across the country. All of these are ongoing simultaneously with, along with, in pari passu with the drug supply reduction efforts. But because, like I said, I'm a media practitioner myself, I know how these things work, The bad news always come from the seizures, arrests, and that's what interests the media. For instance, when our men go to schools to go and talk to the kids, talk to everybody, I'm sure you will know that the media will not focus on that. So it's not, we could do it quite a lot, much more. Last year, let me give you, based on statistics from our operations last year, we had about over 12,306 arrests. Out of that, we filed over 3,000 cases in courts, and about 8,000 persons were cancelled and rehabilitated, which is the drug demand reduction, part of the drug demand reduction efforts, right, which is more than a fair balance between our drug supply and drug demand activities.
All right. In a related question, my worry is the complicity of the community. The fact that it seems they are protecting these cartels, that they're protecting these drug dealers. The fact that the drug dealer can actually send hoodlums or even members of the community to shoot at your men. What are you doing working with the ballers, working with the local government chairman, working with the community leaders, the yolojas? What are you doing to penetrate? Because obviously, these people seem to be sentimentally attached to these drug dealers. Money.
Very well. Thank you. Now you have actually hit the nail on the head. That is, you see, we often cite one example, the Nkurumiri situation in the Southeast. The people, the communities in the Southeast have actually shown more than any other part of the country the spirit of taking ownership of the war. You will see the people of the Southeast, the communities, they're rising up on their own to say, no, we cannot allow you to entrench drug culture in our communities, even though we are not in support of the violence visited on them, that is the public flogging and what have you. But the spirit behind it, of the people themselves rising up to say, no. But in this part of the country, we see a situation where we're getting complaints from people. You see, what we're noticing is the positive voices are almost being overwhelmed or drowned by the negative voices. And these negative voices are promoted by the cartels, promoted deliberately by the cartels, so as to make it look as if that is the new norm. And we cannot allow a nation grappling with about 15 million persons using drugs. We cannot afford to allow that to go on and on. We all have to rise, and that's why anywhere we go, that's why I told you that the war against drug abuse, WADA advocacy campaign has been going on, and the whole essence of it is to mobilize the citizenry. Both our traditional institutions, you would have seen anywhere the officers go on these advocacy visits, they visit the local government chairmen, they visit the communities, the community leaders, visit the traditional rulers. You would have seen the Lagos State Commander of the agency about 2 weeks ago visited the Oba of Lagos. It's all about mobilizing everybody. And even the same commander last week visited the Secretary to the State Government. That is in Alausa there. All of this is to mobilize everybody for them to key in. We appreciate the support and what the Lagos State Governor is doing in that direction. The state government is working with the NDLEA, and that's
Okay.
a
Let me
good
get a
one,
few
just
more
as we're
questions
having
in
the
for
same
you.
cooperation.
I have a Gabriel, I think, online. We'll come to the ladies. Gabriel, are you there? Oh, so sorry for keeping you. Yes.
Okay, so my question, I would like to know, in what way would you say social media has helped or has been, you know, worsened this war against drugs? Because, you know, with social media, the person who has the phone or the camera speaks from their own point of view. The commentary determines, you know, what people see or how they interpret what they're looking at. In what ways would you say social media has helped you, and in what ways has it derailed you?
Yeah, this very well. The social media is both a very veritable tool for both sides of the divide, whether for good or for bad. Well, in this case, you would have seen the social media, the power of the social media being abused to spread falsehood, being used to. In fact, on Saturday when this whole thing started, just even before our men left the scene, they started spreading information that, hey, 5 people have been killed, 10 people have been killed by NDLEA. Haba. Wow. And from the feedback I was getting, there was no such thing. These people were just even trying to retreat. I mean, how can some people trying to retreat from an area and you're saying they have killed this, killed that? Where are they? Then, on the other hand, you also, and that's why we try as much as possible every Friday to engage, because we know that quite a number of the people that are using social media, they are young people, and they are our target audience. And that's why the agency will try to move a lot of our activities also to social media so that we can give them information, we can engage them. And that's why every Friday at 3 p.m., we do what we do an open forum on Twitter Space, just to listen to them and also let them hear from us. We engage them, we talk to them, we educate them. A number of them had the impression that, oh, NDLEA needs a search warrant before they can enter a home, before they can search and arrest you. And this last week, I tried to educate them and let them know that the agency has what you call warrant or identity card that empowers them to do that. They don't need a court order. If you are going for to seize a drug, for instance, you don't wait to go and get a court order that may take 2-3 days. The drug will not be waiting there for you. So that's why, by law, it's statutory, it's in the law that the warrant or ID card carried by an officer of the agency empowers them to enter, seize, arrest, and search.
Fantastic.
So all of these were tried as much as possible, and I'm sure a lot of people understand this better by now. So the social media, as you rightly said, where it serves the two purposes. All right,
let me go to a quick break.
News, a lot of misinformation.
When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this issue of the drug raid that happened recently. I think I have a caller. AY, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning. I have a question for the man on the screen with us. And the question I need to ask him is, why do the agencies that we have in Nigeria, I'm a law enforcement agent, and I understand exactly how this rolls. Are you there?
Yes.
Yes. And with the insiders in the force that I am, I understand that, I don't know how true that is, but I understand that most of the staff or dismissed staff agents were the ones thrown into the NDLEA. At least about 4 of them were identified during the shootout at Lagos Island. Now, I want to understand, irrespective of whatever we're doing as our job, because those are the reasons why we're always under threat by civilians. Irrespective of our job, why do we always have to go in, start going in without stress, without problem, like without even showing forth all those weapons and all those things? We can get all our information and get these people arrested without issues.
Get that.
It's not about going there, shoot out and all those unnecessary scenarios that's going on. And these are the reasons why we keep having problems. Can't we just go about another way that we get our results.
All right, so let me be sure. You're asking the NDLEA to confront people who are heavily armed to the teeth. They should go there with a strategy without ammunition. I want to be sure.
No, what I'm saying is this. The honest truth about it is that they went there prepared, not because they got an information. It was actually because they went there prepared to face the civilians. See, the fact is they are civilians. Irrespective of how armed they are, you can't just enter. This is something that our bosses, I'm telling you, guys at the top.
So they went there prepared to face.
They were going armed to face civilians. Even if the civilians are armed, they are civilians. I think the NDLEA person should already answer that. Do we want a report? Do we want a report that all the NDLEA officials died?
Sometimes we look at this, apart from the reports, leave the official
even the DEA in America, they go armed to go and fight drugs.
Wait, to even leave that matter. You and I have seen videos of youngsters under the influence of drug abuse.
Yes,
You see, I saw a video of young ladies dancing butt naked. These are people that are definitely under the influence of drugs. Young people are parties, taking these things. It's artists taking marijuana in open daylight. In broad daylight. So there is an issue.
There's a war going on.
There's a war going on, and things happen during war. I'm not saying it is right for them to kill civilians. It is wrong.
But
that's what
the boss already said they did not kill.
Yeah, they didn't kill civilians, yes. But this guy is saying that there should be a strategy. So I also hear him. There should be a strategy in if you're going to be going with arms, be clear. And I think the strategy also played out where, according to Mr. Babafemi, they didn't shoot at anybody. They shot into the air to retreat, so they can move out safely. So that's probably part of their strategy. But they couldn't go there with toy guns. Yeah. They couldn't go there with just words. They had to go with ammunition because those drug dealers need to see that they are also up against people who are...
But let me ask a question. We also need to understand that they were armed themselves. These are criminals themselves who are armed, who are ready to fight or be fought, you know. So when we talk about them sometimes, these were not some innocent victims sitting down and then NDLEA came and busted them. We're talking of criminals that were armed. So
let me ask,
are you there?
So I want to have an understanding of the sort of people that were picked up, the suspects. One of the reasons we still keep going round in circles is the fact that we don't get the sponsors of these kingpins, and they are the major players. We have people in top places who are funding these guys, who are running this business, who are patronizing these guys, and we don't see a lot of prosecution when it comes to them. Exactly. We just pick the foot soldiers are the ones that we see. What plans does NDLEA have to fish out the sponsors of these people and deal with them?
Well, thank you very much. I'll just not respond to what the caller said because I wouldn't really understand the justification of some of the arguments. But then coming to your question, I think like I told you, I said last year alone we had about 1,400 convictions, and as I speak with you, about 7 drug barons are facing charges. They are facing trial, including those that even traveled all the way. Don't forget that the major source of some of these drugs, especially the A class, is Brazil. And quite a number of the barons reside there. That's how they're able to ship some of these things into Nigeria and other parts of the world. But beyond that, I also told you that the operation in Partey area of Lagos Island at the weekend was based on solid and credible intelligence. These are people, it's an area that has been under our focus for a long time. And we have 3 persons, 3 major drug lords marked for arrest that day. One of them is the old woman you probably would have seen in the video we released. In fact, I'll tell you quite a number of things she did behind the scene, even when in her custody. One of the things she did to show you how defiant and desperate these people could be. Even when she was, her picture was being taken, she put up some resistance and even tore her own cloth in her custody. that's to show you the kind of people we are dealing with. These are defiant, violent people that are ready to do anything. So that's why I shudder at when somebody say we should have gone there with bare hands to go and meet people that are armed, that started the shooting, not that we started. Ordinarily we would have. There are a lot of operations we go to, depending on our assessment of the area. We don't just go without first credible intelligence. Two, we assess, we put surveillance to know, the kind of scenario that will play out in this kind of place, in such an area of operation. And again, we also do what we call post-operation assessment. And that was why we were able to discover that on Saturday night, 2 of the drug lords that escaped arrest, those who actually mobilized the hoodlums to attack our men, they were sharing money to the hoodlums. To compensate them for the fight. You see, no society can go on like that, because whether we like it or not, these things.
We have very little time left, so go ahead.
Okay, we understand what happened over the weekend, and what I wanted to ask you, however, is I understand that there is I think is MADA, the campaign against drug abuse. WADA, thank you. War against drug abuse. And I feel that we have influencers. People are moved by people that they look up to. We have influencers in celebrities. We have influencers in social media age, that what you would say in Twitter, them saying 1/10 of it would have more significant impact on more people than you alone saying it. And I would appreciate if you have a strategy or a group of influencers you have reached out to, you are working with, to help them push the right values. Also, I want to find out if the law establishing NDLEA supports NDLEA arresting artists who sing about use of drugs, that they sing about it. Do you have the law to say your music is promoting something this country is fighting, and so you will be prosecuted for this?
Well, starting with the first one, on the influencers, we've done quite a lot of work in the area of trying to mobilize a number of influencers. I know as we speak, we have some of them on what we call Drug-Free Celebrities Club. You have a number of celebrities in a group called Drug-Free Celebrities Club that work with the agency. Then recently, I think in December, we tried to hold a meeting with musicians, top actors, and what have you, all those in the A-list people. We tried reaching out to them through various contacts so that the chairman would love to meet them, and we had organized that before quite some things changed, and we had to suspend that. But beyond that, again, early this year, some weeks ago, we've been having discussions with the Actors Guild of Nigeria, and recently, about 3 weeks ago, the leadership of AGN came on a visit to the chairman, to the NDLEA headquarters here, and we're able to have some discussions on how to collaborate. We had also reached out to those in the north, the Kannywood people. So we're doing all of this on all fronts to bring everybody on the same page.
Okay.
But then when you talk of celebrities, again, you also have quite a number of them, I'm sorry to say on air, that are probably into these things. So it's really difficult for them to come out openly to campaign against it. But even at that, you still have the good people, the good ones that are still doing the bit. But what we're noticing is, that's why I said earlier in my statement that we must not allow the negative voices to drown the positive ones. We have some good people, celebrities, that are trying the best they can. Even as we speak, we have a number of them on Twitter speaking up and saying, no, we cannot allow this as a culture in our country. But then the negative ones are very vociferous and vocal. So that's why you see some of these things. Then on the arrest, we're working with a number of other agencies, stakeholders in government, to make sure that some of these things are properly monitored and coordinated before people release into the public space, content that will mislead millions of young people into thinking that drug is the new normal.
Yeah.
That should not be.
Okay, we have to go very quickly, but I need to ask you, I think also linking what Tokwe has said about prosecuting these celebrities, because sometimes it's quite easy for us. You see a celebrity smoking marijuana, and you just go, I'll call him in for questioning. Okay, the marijuana you're using in your video, where did you buy it from? Where did you buy it? Who is the supply chain? Can you, that's for us, some is almost basic. So when we don't see these artists being arrested, that's why some people feel as if it's okay. But more importantly, my question more importantly is there some kind of an assessment with these people? Because if I see a woman, a mother, I'm thinking to herself, does she understand the gravity of what she's involved with? Does she understand the ripple effect of this act that she's doing? Is there like an assessment that takes place after this arrest where you recondition their mind to understand this thing you are selling to children can actually cause not just mental health issues, but cause them to kill each other, cause them to kill your own child, to make your community even more dangerous? Do they have that kind of assessment afterwards?
Definitely. One of the things we do for those we arrest in our custody, depending on which divide they fall into, whether traffickers or as users. For users, basically, we try as much as possible. That's why I've been seeing a number of requests from the people about the 6 Malian artists that were arrested last week. Why are we not parading them, showing them, blah, blah, blah? And I said, look, we have a process. We don't just show anybody's face. If we know that these people, we can still work with them to counsel them, rehabilitate them, we will do that. And that's what... that's why on Friday we released some of the Malian artists that were arrested, and they are back. I think they should be back this morning. But then we take a decision. Do we prosecute them or we put them through the treatment process? All of these are put in place so that we can change the mindset of these people. This is not the first set of artists who will be arrested. The message we are sending through that is, no matter who you are, whether celebrities or not, if you if you break the law, you will face the music.
All right,
and that's why you would have seen a number.
We have to go, but let me allow Mariam to ask an important elephant in the room question. I know we're going to bring you back for it, but she wants to ask that question.
Let me just establish it, and I don't know how much you can talk about it for right now. Abba Kyari, the video, the arrest, the complicity of security operatives in the movement of drug and the sale of drugs.
Give us clarify.
Yeah, okay. Very well, thank you. The elephant in the...
the big room.
Well, the big room. Yeah, as far as the Abakari and the 6 others are concerned, charges have been filed against some of them last week, and as I speak with you today, before the end of today, I know charges will be filed against the rest of them, and that leaves, we then wait on the court to give us a date for arraignment. That much I can confirm to you this morning.
But the fact that some of your officials were accused of being part of the entire deal, I want you to clarify that for us. That's what she wanted to know.
Oh, okay. That's absolutely. Maybe I didn't get that from her question, from Miriam's question, but absolutely nothing like that. In this case, I did issue a statement few days after to clarify that aspect, that even in the statement in the report from the police, the investigative report by the police, as well as the statements of one of the officers themselves, they did confirm and narrated graphically how they had been the one in contact with these guys all the way from Brazil, Ethiopia, up to Nigeria. There was no way in the chain of that transaction that any NDLEA officer was involved. And if there had been any, I tell you, the chairman of the agency, General Marwa, will not condone or cover anybody. And that much we did say in our statement, that we have no reason, absolutely, to cover anybody or to shield anybody from the law. If you break the law, whether you are an NDLEA officer or any other security officer or any other person for that matter, you face the music.
Please help us greet Oga Marwa, that we are seeing his work, that he, in all the agencies in Nigeria, we are seeing that NDLEA is working, and we only hope that more people will support you and more community support that you need will come sooner than later.
Amen.
All right. I'm telling you, he's watching you right now.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. That is all we can take on the show today. Hope you've learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.